Hey, hi out there. It is 5amMesterScrum. Welcome. I hope you're subscribing and sharing with your friends and telling them to like and subscribe. And I'm hoping you're learning something and having a good time. Maybe laughing at me, I don't know. But hopefully everything's going good. And 5amMesterScrum. Boom. And we're live. Okay. So it is Thursday. It is the 25th of July. It's our 9th show. We'll have a lot more information coming out, and everything looking good. Today for me, it's just gonna be a busy day. They're doing some kind of innovation day, and I'm volunteering. Two topics. Most of the stuff I want to talk about has to do with on and offshore for doing a daily scrum and a couple little tips to help you do that. And then also about short work week calendars. I know the holidays are here. I think the folks in India have a holiday in August for a couple of days. It's kind of like our 4th of July. So if you haven't planned for that, I recommend you think about they have a Thursday holiday, which means they're probably going to take Friday off. So they're not going to be there either. And so let's get going. Again, 5 a.m. Mester Scrum. Good morning, and let's get going. So, managing daily Scrum. I'm gonna do a series on different things on how to help with managing Scrum teams that are multiple time zones. So it doesn't have to be onshore, offshore, however it is, but multiple time zones, multiple locations. How do you do that? I mean, everybody talks about distributed work environments and things like that. I don't think everybody gets into the little hacks to how to manage those Scrum teams. So I'm going to give you a couple of hacks. One of the hacks that came up a while ago was make a list of all the people on your team. If you're a Scrum Master or we can do it, so you make a list and you just list everybody who's on your Scrum team. You can start for people offshore, have them go first because they're more awake, hopefully. And then as you run your daily Scrum, and this goes to that other episode where we talked about managing people versus tasks. Now I have a list. Now I have a list that has everybody's name on it. Everybody in the team knows this list. Everybody in this team knows you're going to call this list. And if you're not there, you know your name's going to get called. So it's not if I be quiet, I won't get called. No, your name's on the list. So what's good about that is that, one, everybody knows they're going to be there. Two, it's just quicker because if I go through the names and I say, Bob, what you go first? Bob does this thing, then Jane, and then Sally, and then Greg, and then so on and so forth, right? And then at the bottom, let's usually say if you like your Scrum Master says might have something to say in the product owner, but only after the rest of the team's all done, right? So this goes really fast because everybody knows who's next. It's like, and also saves you more time. It's more lean in your daily Scrum because you can do it here too if you're in one group. You just go through the list. Like if you're in a room, you just go around the room and everybody knows who's next. It's easy, right? Visually, you see Bob, Jane, Sally, Greg, go around. So you'll have that, right? So it's an easy thing to do. But you can't visually see that. And see, this is where the whole Scrum out of the book kind of fails when you do distributed teams and work at multiple locations because it's simple when you can see everybody next to you who goes next. But when you can't see them, you don't know who goes next. So if you have a list, everybody on the team knows boom, 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 boom. And you get done faster, which is kind of why I like doing people versus tasks also. Because again, who's next on the task, right? You don't know. The other nice thing about the list, all you need is a simple list. You keep it on the table. Now you as a Scrum Master or anybody, as a user, this shows for anybody. It doesn't have to be for Scrum Master, product owners, Agile people, anybody thinking about it, developers, testers, whoever. So this is where I'll get to. anybody in the Scrum team can manage the Scrum because they have the list. They don't have to be to run it, and it doesn't really care. And actually, no one should call anybody out. So you get to the point where everybody knows when Bob is done, Jane just starts talking, and then Sally, and then Greg, and so on. I don't have to. There shouldn't be anybody in the room have to say Bob, Sally, Jane. So nobody should have to call out the names because they will hear the person stop talking, or you even better. Okay, I'm done. Bob, you're next. Jane, you're next. So the teams can actually close their story and introduce the next person, and that way there's no leader in the Scrum team. So that's a great way of doing it. Again, it also helps so that if the Scrum Master is not there, anybody can do it. So if you're stuck on the highway or you're out of town, you don't have to worry about it. Oh, I have to be a Scrum. I'm the Scrum Master. I have to run it. No, you don't. Actually, the Daily Scrum is the very first meeting I train my Scrum Masters not to manage. If there's ever a meeting that the Scrum Masters do not have to manage, and that's the Daily Scrum. And I actually try to encourage them to get out of Daily Scrum because technically, Daily Scrum is the team's meeting. The only meeting that the Scrum Master really has to manage is the retrospective. Their job is to facilitate getting new ideas. They should be trained on that too, by the way. So, and there's an IC Agile class that's the ATF. So it's a trained facilitator. So, or team facilitator. So you learn how to facilitate teams, and it gives you extra tools if you haven't had that before. I think I've had that a couple of times over my career, how to facilitate meetings. Anyway, so that's that. We got a list. We go through the list, and we make it through. Now, one other thing you can do to help with offshore, onshore is install a program like Slack or some communication tool that maintains the information, not email. Email's terrible. So if someone offshore can't make it, or even anybody in the team can, they go on Slack and say, "Hey, it's me. Things I did today, boom, or yesterday. Here's what I plan on doing today. Here are my blockers," and they can write it in Slack or some kind of communication tool. And the reason why I like that, it's better than having a Scrum Master having to read everybody what it is, because when you have a communication tool, one, it saves it and everyone can see it. So all throughout the day, if anybody wants to know where Greg is, they can see in Slack where he is because he wrote that down in the communication tool. The other nice thing about the communication tool, there's certain times a year there is, like we do daylight savings time here on the East Coast, and offshore doesn't have a daylight savings time. So it really impedes on them working really late, an extra hour late every day because of the daylight savings time activities. And it's not necessarily, what I hear is not necessarily safe in some of the cities they work. So what I would encourage, if you have that issue, just have them as Daily Scrum talk about what they did and what they're going to do, and make them do it in the communication tool if they can't make it verbally. I wouldn't sweat it if they couldn't. I just want them individually to tell us what they did. I want them to be making their daily commitments. Remember our micro commitments? So I don't want a leader or somebody else chiming in for them. I want them to write down in writing what they did, what they're going to get done the next day, and then what blocked them, so that we know and they have understood that they're part of the team and they contribute. So I really would rather have them type in something rather than not show up and have some leader somewhere talk for them. The talk for them is bad. Not showing up is bad. So, and not participating at all, right? Not participating at all is bad. So by using the communication tool, they get to participate. So you got that. So there's two things. One, make a list so everybody knows who's going next in Daily Scrum and they can manage it. And you just go rapidly through it and you hit everybody. And two, use a communication tool. Let them type in Slack or whatever the tools you're using. what they did and what they're going to do, and don't have anybody else type in or chime out for them anymore. Those are two things I would do for offshore daily scrum that I think will get everybody's participation. Okay, next topic. Next topic, I want to talk about short work week calendars. As you know, I mentioned that the offshore folks will have a holiday in August, and it'll be just like our 4th of July here in the States, where it was a Thursday, and that they're not going to work Friday. Trust me, they're just like us. Some people are like, well, why aren't they working? I'm like, they don't want to go work. They want to take the extra day. They earned their time off, right? People look at me like I'm crazy. I'm like, they're people. I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody wants to take off and stay with their family or do something. So what I found, and some of my teams in the past have found, is that we actually make a short work week calendar. So let's say your scrum is a week long or 2 weeks long, and 2 out of the 10 days, which is like 20% of your time, you're not going to be there, and it's going to be a short work week, and you're probably all going to take off, so probably going to be even less time, right? We would go through the calendar, and each block, like everyone on the team would go through the calendar morning, afternoon, morning, afternoon, morning, afternoon, morning, afternoon, and say what kind of task we were going to do. Like, okay, I want to build a database in the morning and get that set up, and then later on I'm going to do the front end. And okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to do some testing. Maybe I'm going to do some front end work, and I'm going to build up some graphics and some requirements and things like that. But you do boom, 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 boom. The teams I've had that did that, they actually appreciate it because everybody was thinking about the holiday and helped organize their thoughts on what they wanted to do. It maybe seem like crazy, but they actually appreciated having the calendar for their short work weeks just to focus them on what they're going to do and where they're at. And we would do that during sprint planning session. So not only would we put a list of all things we want to do in sprint planning during these short vacation work weeks, we would actually lay it out on the calendar. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no rule that says you can't put it on the calendar. If there was, that would be a stupid rule. But it helps organize that thought and what you're going to do. And the whole purpose part of sprint planning is not just to have a list of things to do. It's to give you visualization and for the team to accept the commitment they're going about to do, make them feel good about the commitment. So how do you feel about the commitment? So by having a list, you know your list. By taking that list and now graphically represent it into a calendar from a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we're off, Friday we're off, then Monday, Tuesday, and just go on from there. It helps people feel good that they can accomplish all those tasks on the calendar. And in fact, that might not be a bad thing for some of those teams. I might actually try that. Some teams that aren't getting their tasks done, I'm going to use that actually. It's a new way of using it. So what I'm going to make them do, I'm going to make them go through the exercise for the teams that aren't doing very good at tasking and doing their hours. So there's an exercise. So idea exercise. Take the task list you have for teams that don't have doing all their tasks and have them put the tasks in a calendar, just a rough calendar. It doesn't have to be formalized. What I usually do is I take Excel, I graph up a little calendar, and I give that to everybody anyhow, and make little cubes and graphics, and then you can just copy and paste them in every one of the cells. It takes 2 seconds, but then it forces them to figure out what to do next. And I think that's an awesome idea. I think I want to apply that to some teams I have right now that are having problems tasking and get stuff done. And I want to have them actually put like what hours, what days you're going to do what tasks, and visually graph it on the screen. I think that's a cool idea. Anyway, let me know if you take that idea for Daily Scrum to work on those teams. We can make a piece of micro content for that. So what we talk about. Well, I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe, hit the little bell. I hope you like what we're doing. I hope everything is good. And again, it's 5amMesterScrum. Please subscribe. what we did, we talked about on offshore or multiple time zone teams and making a list for Daily Scrum, right? We talked about using something like Slack to let people chime in themselves and not have a representative chime in on what they did, what they're going to do, or what they committed, what they're going to commit to the next day, right? And then what's blocking them. And then third one talked about um, short work week calendars and using them for holidays. Again, like India has off and August coming up, just like our 4th of July. And then we have Labor Day after that. So it doesn't hurt. Except that Labor Day is usually on a Monday, but this holiday is on a Thursday. So don't be surprised that Friday they take off. If you're surprised, shame on you because you should know your calendars. And using a short week calendar and even using in the calendar to say, hey, I got all these tasks. They task everything out. Some say 4 or 5 hours, whatever it is. Put 4 hours and 5 hours and 4 hours and 5 hours. I'm going to have. I'm going to try that with one of my Scrum Masters because I know they're having troubles and I'm going to see if they do that. Anyway, so that's it for Mester Scrum. Hope everything's good and that you have a great day. Happy scrumming. And tell your friends and subscribe to 5amMesterScrum. With that, take care. See you guys later. Have a great day and enjoy it.